Lucrezia Borgia was born into a world of power, ambition, and ruthless intrigue, where every move could mean the difference between glory and ruin. Her father, Rodrigo Borgia, was a Spanish cardinal determined to rule, a man whose cunning and ambition knew few limits. Her mother, Venosa dei Catene, was his longtime mistress, a woman who navigated the shadows of power with quiet resilience. Rome in the late 15th century was a city of intrigue, where alliances shifted overnight and secrets were currency. The Pope was both spiritual leader and king, and Rodrigo Borgia wanted the throne more than anything. He used his children as pawns in his quest for dominance, weaving them into the fabric of his political schemes. Italy was fractured, ruled by powerful families like the Sforza, Medici, and Aragonese, each vying for supremacy. Marriages were weapons, and Lucrezia was her father's most valuable asset, destined to be bartered for alliances. Even as a child, she sensed the weight of expectation, the silent pressure to serve her family's ambitions. From the start, her life was dictated by political necessity, her innocence overshadowed by the machinations of those around her. In 1492, Rodrigo achieved his ambition. He became Pope Alexander VI, forever changing the fate of his family. The Borgias became Rome's most powerful family, outsiders both feared and resented by the old nobility. Alexander VI moved quickly to secure his power, forging alliances and making enemies in equal measure to protect the Papal States. A marriage was needed to cement ties with Milan, ruled by the formidable Ludovico Sforza. All eyes turned to Lucrezia, the young woman at the heart of a political storm. She grew up educated and refined, fluent in several languages, but always aware her fate was not her own to choose. Her father and brother Cesare would decide her future, plotting her path with cold calculation. Her duty was to serve the family's relentless ambition. Personal feelings were irrelevant, her heart a distant concern. Lucrezia was a pawn in a dangerous game, her every move watched by those who would use her. The stage was set for her first, and most scandalous entry into dynastic politics, a world where betrayal was commonplace. The Borgia rise had only just begun, and Lucrezia's story was about to unfold in ways no one could predict. Lucrezia's first marriage was pure politics, a carefully orchestrated move in the high-stakes game of Italian power. Her groom, Giovanni Sforza, was Lord of Pesaro and cousin to Milan's ruler, an influential match for the ambitious Borgia family. The alliance was meant to bind Rome and Milan against their enemies, forging a powerful front in a land divided by rival city-states and shifting loyalties. Lucrezia was just 13, barely more than a child. Giovanni, a widower of 26, already seasoned by courtly intrigue. The marriage contract was a calculated document with a huge dowry and a crucial clause. The union had to be consummated to be valid, ensuring the alliance could not be easily undone. For Giovanni, marrying the Pope's daughter brought prestige, protection, and a direct link to the Vatican's immense influence. But in Italy, fortunes changed fast. Alliances were as fragile as glass, and trust was a rare commodity. Lucrezia had no say. Her betrothal was announced, her future sealed by the ambitions of men she barely knew. She'd been engaged twice before, each time a pawn in her family's plans, but this time the alliance seemed unbreakable, at least for now. She was the golden link between Milan and Rome, a living symbol of unity and hope for peace between two powerful houses. Her role, be a dutiful wife, solidify the alliance and serve her family's ambition, no matter the personal cost. Her happiness was never considered. Her dreams and desires were sacrificed for the greater good of the Borgia name. The marriage was a triumph for Giovanni, until it became a curse, as the tides of power began to turn against him. The shifting political winds would soon make the alliance and the marriage obsolete, leaving both parties vulnerable. Lucrezia's fate was never her own. She was moved like a piece on a chessboard, her life dictated by others. She was a Borgia, and the family's needs always came first, overshadowing any hope for personal freedom. The marriage was a move on the chessboard, not a union of hearts, a strategy, not a love story. The consequences of this alliance would soon shake Italy, sending ripples through every court and council. Lucrezia's story was only beginning. Ahead lay intrigue, betrayal, and the struggle to find her own voice. The cost of being a Borgia was about to become clear, and Lucrezia would soon learn just how high that price could be. The wedding in the Vatican was a spectacle of wealth and power. The apostolic palace glittered with tapestries and art. Rome's elite filled the halls. Lucrezia, radiant in jewels and silk, was the centerpiece of the event. Feasts, music and dancing followed, but rumors of scandalous behavior swirled. The Borgias flaunted their triumph, ignoring the whispers of their enemies. Yet beneath the surface cracks appeared. Giovanni Sforza, a provincial lord, was outmatched by the ruthless Borgia court. Lucrezia's loyalty remained with her family, leaving Giovanni isolated. The marriage, built on politics, lacked affection and stability. After the wedding, the couple left for Pesaro, but Lucrezia's heart stayed in Rome. The alliance was already weakening. The grand wedding could not hide the truth. This was a marriage of convenience. Its purpose was fading fast. The shadows of Borgia ambition loomed over the union. The stage was set for betrayal. Italy's alliances were fragile, and the Rome-Milan axis soon crumbled. The political landscape was in constant flux, with allegiances shifting as quickly as the sands in a desert storm. In 1494, King Charles VIII of France invaded Italy, shattering old loyalties. His arrival marked the beginning of a new era of conflict and power struggles. Ludovico Sforza, once an ally, became a liability. His ambitions and shifting loyalties made him a dangerous player in this high-stakes game. Pope Alexander VI, ever the survivor, shifted alliances to protect his power. His maneuvers were as calculated as they were ruthless. The Sforza marriage was now a political burden. What was once a strategic alliance had turned into a liability. Giovanni Sforza found himself trapped between rival powers, his cousin in Milan and his father-in-law in Rome. His position was increasingly precarious. Suspected of spying, Giovanni's relationship with the Borgias soured. Trust was a rare commodity in these treacherous times. He was no longer an asset, but an obstacle. His isolation grew as the political tides turned against him. The Borgias needed Lucrezia free for a new alliance. Her marriage to Giovanni was now a hindrance to their grand plans. Divorce was impossible. Only annulment could erase the marriage. The Borgias had the influence to make it happen. The family had the power to make it happen. Their reach extended far and wide, manipulating events to their advantage. Giovanni's fate was sealed by shifting politics. The once powerful noble was now a pawn in a much larger game. The marriage that once secured power was now a threat. The political landscape had changed, and so had the value of alliances. The Borgias moved to discard him. Giovanni was no longer useful to their ambitions. Lucrezia's role as a pawn would take a darker turn. Her fate was intertwined with the ambitions of her family. The cost of ambition was about to become public. The scandal would reverberate through the courts of Europe. The next move would be ruthless. The Borgias were prepared to do whatever it took to maintain their power. In 1497, Giovanni Sforza fled Rome, fearing for his life. The Borgias needed to free Lucrezia, and chose public humiliation as their weapon. The Pope sought annulment, claiming Giovanni was impotent and the marriage unconsummated. In Renaissance Italy, this was the ultimate insult. Giovanni fought back, insisting he was virile and accusing the Borgias of lying. He even claimed the Pope wanted Lucrezia for himself, fueling rumors of incest. The scandal exploded across Italy, damaging both sides. The Borgias painted Lucrezia as a victim, Giovanni as a failed man. Outside Rome, many saw the annulment as a brutal act of political convenience. The battle was fought with accusations and innuendo. The truth was lost in the spectacle. The Borgias controlled the narrative in Rome. Giovanni's honor was destroyed. The annulment was inevitable. The annulment became a public spectacle. The Borgias demanded Giovanni prove his virility before witnesses, an impossible, humiliating test. Refusing meant guilt, accepting meant public failure. Giovanni refused as expected, and the Borgias spun it as proof of impotence. Abandoned by his family, Giovanni was cornered. The Borgias offered a deal: accept the annulment and keep the dowry. It was a bitter choice, but resistance was futile. Giovanni signed a confession, admitting impotence and non-consummation. His reputation was shattered. He retreated to Pesaro, broken. The Borgias had what they wanted. Lucrezia was free. The marriage was erased, and Giovanni's humiliation was complete. The family's ambition had triumphed over personal dignity. Lucrezia's future was once again in her family's hands. The cost of crossing the Borgias was total ruin. The next chapter in Lucrezia's life would be no less dramatic. The pawn was ready for her next move. The Borgia game continued. With Giovanni's confession, the final act unfolded. A formal examination declared Lucrezia a virgin, her marriage erased as if it never happened. The verdict was a complete Borgia victory, clearing the way for a new alliance. Yet the scandal left a stain, fueling rumors of incest and secret births. While Rome declared Lucrezia pure, the rest of Italy remained skeptical. The mysterious birth of the infans Romanus's only deepened suspicions. The truth was obscured by Borgia intrigue. Lucrezia's reputation was forever marked by the scandal. The annulment became legend, shaping her legacy. The Borgia myth grew darker. With the annulment final, Lucrezia was free, at least on paper. Her family quickly arranged a new marriage to Alfonso of Aragon, sealing an alliance with Naples. For a brief moment, Lucrezia found happiness and love. She gave birth to a son, Rodrigo, and hoped for peace, but politics intervened again. Cesare Borgia allied with France, making Alfonso a liability. In 1500, Alfonso was attacked and later murdered, likely on Cesare's orders. Lucrezia was left a grieving widow, but the family's ambitions pressed on. After mourning, she was married to Alfonso d'Este, heir to Ferrara. This final marriage removed her from Rome's toxic politics. As Duchess of Ferrara, Lucrezia flourished. She became a respected ruler and patron of the arts. In Ferrara, she finally found agency and respect. Her story was one of survival and transformation. The pawn became a princess, and more. Lucrezia Borgia's life was shaped by the ambitions of others. For years, she was a pawn in her family's ruthless games. The scandalous annulment defined her public image, fueling the Borgia legend. Accusations of poison and incest stuck, overshadowing her true story. Yet in Ferrara, Lucrezia proved herself, an able administrator, a patron, a devoted mother. She finally gained agency, shaping her own legacy. The truth behind the annulment was political theater, not personal failing. Lucrezia's virginity was a legal fiction, used as needed by her family. Her enduring legacy is that of a survivor, born a pawn but dying a queen. The Borgia myth endures, but so does her story of resilience. Lucrezia's life is a drama of power, scandal, and survival. She outlived the legend, leaving her mark on history. The pawn became a queen.